Breaking Stereotypes with your host, Zainab Zaeem-Sattar, and I'm here today with my guest, Haroon Mulla. Now, before I introduce my guest, and before I say anything else on this show, I have had a reminder from my producer to request whether all our listeners, our followers, our viewers, if you could please donate to our Just Giving page, which is for the Children's Hospital, raising money to buy Eid gifts for the children who will be spending Eid Day in the hospital. Come on and let's together put a smile on a child's face with your donation, which will go into buying a gift for each children in Leicester's hospitals. And our website for that is https://www.justgiving.com/fundraising/Ramadan hyphen, which is the dash across the screen, radio. So please do donate as much as you can. Every penny counts and every penny makes a pound. And you can also find the details on our Facebook pages if you wish, or even on our Insta pages or our website. So, as always, I want to thank our team on Ramadan Radio for everything that you do. Without you guys, the show would not go on. The show is interactive. The studio line is 0116 4822 You can also WhatsApp message us, you can text message us, you can chat with us on Facebook Live as well. And we're also live on Instagram, so you can also send messages through Insta. And our WhatsApp telephone number is 077 488 55055. So now that all of that is done, as we say, housekeeping, Assalamu alaikum, Haroon, and welcome to Breaking Stereotypes. And Haroon is owner of Vapemotion, which is a vape shop on Divana Road, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And he's also a distributor for Nanostix, and we will explain what Nanostix is throughout the show, so you'll understand a little bit more and the reason why he's here. Now, I do want to do just a very small background information as to why Haroon is on the show today, because you know, the show's topic today is into the world of smoking. Now, people are going to wonder why smoking. You know, previously I had cycling and I had skipping. Now, smoking, why is it relevant to breaking stereotypes? Well, it's very relevant to breaking stereotypes because there's breaking stereotypes everywhere when it comes to smoking, whether that's to do with the male gender, the female gender, whether it's to do with the old, to do with the young. And this is why we've got Haroon today, because we are going to talk about smokers in our community, the different stereotypes that come along, the opinions that people have. And I'm going to let Haroon do just a little bit more introduction on who he is, a bit more about his background into it, and then we'll go from there. So Haroon, if you can.
So basically, I own the Vapemotion store. It opened back in April 2016. And the whole aim of the store was to educate our community and have a place for our community to come and get cigarettes, their stop smoking cigarettes, their e-liquids from, their devices, any new and innovative products that have come out in the market. To obviously educate our older generation, our youngsters, on the different types of stop smoking products that are available on the market.
Okay, brilliant. Now, in my notes when I was doing a bit of research into smoking and that, there are different types of smokers. So can we just delve into that a little bit? What kind of smokers are there in our community? What
So we've got probably a lot of men smokers out there, a lot of female smokers out there that don't smoke out in public, and that's something that we've discussed when we had our meeting, that the female population obviously don't openly smoke cigarettes in our community, and we had a good conversation as to why, which we'll go into in a little while. It's really to see how people change and how people socialize as well. We've seen a lot of cafes open up around the UK, and it's really to see and educate them going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're talking about ladies and the fact that some ladies don't openly smoke. Now, I know a few people who do openly smoke. All my listeners, my viewers, my followers are fully aware that I smoke shisha and I vape as well. I'm not a heavy vapor. My producer's wagging his fingers at me behind the screen, telling me off, because he does always tell me off. But I do like my shisha. But I've been doing shisha, believe it or not, since the 90s, I think since 1999. And when I was with my ex-husband, we were one of the few who actually had a shisha in our house back in the day when nobody knew what shisha was, or I would say rarely anybody knew. My brother had actually gone to do Umrah, and he bought me the first shisha because, it was like a fad, it was like a trend, and he bought it over. But in those days, it was really hard to get flavor, hard to get coals, it's hard to get everything. And then I think I must have stopped smoking, 5 or 10 years. And then when I got back into the scene again, shisha cafes, just like you said, shisha cafes everywhere. And women were going there, having the fun, it's somewhere to go for them, chill out with their friends and relax. But at the same time, one of the biggest stereotypes I've seen, and I'm sure you've seen it as well, is when we see a man smoking outside. See, after Rosa, the first thing he probably does is go out and has a smoke. Nobody says anything. It's natural in a sense, and I do that in inverted, speech marks. But when a woman does it, then all the tobas come out. Then it's like, what you're doing, you won't be able to get a husband, you won't be able to, what will your husband say, what will your dad say? So the stereotype is there. At the end of the day, smoking is, like I said, I'm not a scholar, so I don't know if it's makruh or not, but smoking is frowned upon for both men and women, and not one gender is superior than the other. So why are we as a community shunning one gender, not shunning the other? So these are all stereotypes. Yeah. And if we're going to frown upon one, we have to frown upon all of them, and that's how it should work. Now, you own the shop, Vapemotion, on Divana Road, and it's one of the longest standing
in the area.
In the area. So 2016, is that correct?
Yes.
That's when you opened it. Tell us a little bit more about the background of where your story started, just so we could get a bit of understanding.
Okay, so basically back in 2015, 2016, I started vaping. I came across vaping through a friend of mine. And what happened was that there was no variety of flavors, nicotine strengths, etc., available in the market. So between myself and my friends as well, that we did a lot of research from products from around the world, imported them in, and started getting different flavors and different, just to satisfy people's taste buds, because there was such a limited variety available. People were not converting across to the e-cigarette industry because of the limitations behind flavoring. So that's where the store initially opened. A lot of people started coming on board. As we were slowly educating the community, it started becoming a thing throughout the UK. And then probably about 2017, we got a contract on manufacturing e-liquids, a grapefruit flavour that absolutely hit the market by a storm. And that's what really got myself into the industry and got me really interested in the industry going forward. Over the last couple of years, we've been manufacturing, producing different types of flavors, liquids, nicotine strengths, and now we've come up with probably one of a great stop smoking aided product that we're just pushing out on the UK now.
So that's how you and I connected, because I recently came across your Stop Smoking campaign, and that's something that we're going to discuss a little bit later, because this is when Nanosticks is quite crucial in the Stop Smoking campaign that you run in conjunction with Nanostix itself. So we are going to touch upon that. Before we do, I want to understand just a little bit more about the work that you do with the community, because I'm fully aware from the conversations that you and I have, but obviously my listeners won't be, that you have been raising awareness and educating our community, especially the elders, when it comes to the smoking. So can you just delve into a little bit more about what you've been doing there?
So I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had a community hall on Berners Street, and we invited everyone in the area within probably a 2-mile radius to come to the community centre and pick up their free Stop Smoking kit. And what happened there is that we saw probably about 800 or 900 people turn up on the day, and speaking to a lot of our community as to how much they smoke a day, what habits they have, I also had a few ladies who are fully in Burda and turn up as well. And obviously that's where we can touch base in a little while as to why they're so shy in the market to come and admit that they smoke. And then at the same time, where can they purchase their products from discreetly, which obviously we've got a delivery service, etc., to cater to those needs.
Yeah.
And yeah, that really hit the market.
I can imagine. Because, I mean, anonymity as well, isn't it, for some people as well, where they can actually turn up. And it's not just anonymity, it's non-judgmentalness as well.
Yes.
You know, we unfortunately, and I've said this time and time again, we do now live in a hostile environment. We do live in a world where people are very quick to judge, quick to comment. We are surrounded by social media, so there's keyboard warriors left, right and centre. People who think they can say things, write things and get away with it. Cyberbullying, you know, in essence. And it's quite crucial that when there are people who do smoke and might even want to think about quitting, they probably can't, because the reason why some people smoke as well, and I can't speak for everybody, but some people smoke to ease the pressure. And then you've got people cyberbullying you, you've got the keyboard warriors, and that just adds more pressure on. So how is that person meant to then quit something if the whole purpose of them doing it was to take the pressure off, but they've still got the pressure but from somewhere else? Now, elders, I'm really curious about the elders. The first generation, how has that been? What challenges have you had there?
That's been very difficult. Don't get me wrong, because back in the 1970s, when smoking was really high in the market, there was probably 45% worth of adults smoking back then. And for them, they've grown up knowing about cigarettes. Obviously, the price has increased over the last 10 years. It's becoming ridiculous at the minute. And it's to educate them that they can quit even at the age that they currently are at. Because anyone quitting probably at the age of 40 and just below 40, they can literally reduce the chance of dying from smoke-related deaths by 90%.
So that's the statistics. We are going to go into discussing the statistics a little bit in a moment. So that in terms of the actual elders, have they actually turned around and said, no, I don't want to speak to you, no, I don't want to know? How's that been?
It's been, obviously, it's something for us to tackle at the time. But when they come, and they're so negative behind vaping or trying something different, even the patch therapy that they get from the doctors, they're not willing to try that either. But at the same time, it's come to a point where technology has probably advanced so much over the last 2 or 3 years that even statistically in the UK, the best way to quit smoking is by using an e-cigarette or a vaping device. It's much more. It's
mentality and change as well. A lot of people don't want to see change. I mean, my grandfather's passed away now. For my daughter's 13 years old, so he passed away about a month after she was born. And he was an avid chain smoker. And I remember when I was a kid and I used to catch him smoking, I used to break his cigarettes, not realizing, of course, how expensive they were. And he used to go nuts at me, absolute total nuts at me, to the point that he wouldn't talk to me for a couple of minutes if I'd even broken one of his cigarettes. And it's only as you grow up that I realized that whilst I was trying to do good for him, it was definitely the wrong thing to do. So moving on to the statistics. Now, you sent me some fantastic stats to work with. So let's talk a little bit more about that, and then we can then go on to why the Nanosticks is important and how it can help and so on. So do you want to touch upon a little bit more about the facts of smoking that you've actually sent me?
Yeah, so in the UK, we've probably got about 7 million smokers currently in the UK, averaging 10 per day, 10 cigarettes per day. Out of that percentage of smokers, 68% are men and 32% are women. The smoking age group, that's the highest, is 25 to 34. And out of that, they find that women are more prone to the diseases caused by smoking. So it's one of those awareness categories that I find difficult to communicate with, because the women are not out openly smoking. So for me to educate them, it's quite
It's
difficult.
difficult.
And that's why we're here today, to try and, obviously we have a lot of sisters, listeners.
And a lot of women might not even want to approach a male as well. So there's that factor to consider. They might not be so open with a male than they probably would be with a female. I mean, you gave the age of 25 to 34. That's quite an interesting age there. In terms of the community work that you have done when you've gone to raise awareness, have you come across any of these age brackets where you've tried to educate them?
Yes, the local shisha cafes, etc. Obviously, when speaking to them, and also out when they come to my store as well, because we're on a side street as well. It's not open. It's not very open to the public. On the side of Evington Road, so there's not a lot of traffic either. So women do find it easier to come to us, and we do have the website as well, which obviously they can.
And what's their approach been compared to the elders in the community? What's the youngsters' approach been?
So the youngsters, it's a bit of a mixed one because there's a lot of disposables that have entered the market as well, which has taken over probably over the last 12 months. And we've seen a lot more under 18s joining the vaping industry, which obviously it's not great.
I mean, the under 18s, it could possibly be also, it could be a number of factors, isn't it? It's peer pressure, it's the fact that the friends are doing it, it's a trend. Yes. I mean, I know that when I used to do shisha in the house, and I'm quite open about this, I've got 3 boys, my boys would always like try and do a talk here and there behind my back, and I turned around and said, no, if you want to do it, you do it in front of me. Take a couple of talks in front of me, and that way at least I can see, I can control, and then you're not doing anything behind my back. And for me and for my family, that worked really well, because they would then take a puff or two, didn't like it, would cough, wasn't into it. But if I was to restrict them, I mean, the more you restrict a child, the more that child's going to do something. I know, because I'm the rebel child in my family. I've always done something I'm not meant to, and I didn't want my kids to go through that. Whereas I know, friends and families, children who they are quite restrictive, quite strict, and the kids are then, behind their back buying vapes and stuff from people. They're not even 15, 16 years old, and that's a young age. That's a tender age. And even with my daughter, she's 13 years old right now, and I constantly shove the pipe in her face. I'm like, here, take it. And, my listeners will probably think, what the hell am I doing? But trust me, that works for my daughter. So what works for my daughter will not work for everybody. And my youngest, she's very mouthy. She's definitely my daughter. And she turns around and she says to me, why do you pay for flavored air? That's what she calls it. Why do I pay for flavored air? But at least she knows that if, let's just say, happen chance, she ended up getting into it, she knows that the help is there with us, that we would be able to support her in quitting and things like that. So it's a bit of like an open-minded family. Whereas I know when I was growing up, my family were very traditional, very narrow-minded, where you couldn't. So if I was to smoke, which I didn't, if I was to smoke growing up in that household, I would be one of those females who'd have to hide it. Hopefully no one's seen me and things like that. There was no openness, and that, I presume, would be very difficult if I wanted to come. It came time to quitting, because there's no support system. So support system is crucial. Would you agree with that? It is, definitely. So in terms of the support system that people would get from you, I just want to talk a little bit more about the diseases that you mentioned in the smoking for the women. Now, from the stats that you have given to me, you have said that women are more prone to the diseases caused by smoking, such as lung cancer. Death has superseded breast cancer deaths. And that's quite shocking. And then you've got cardio, stroke, menstrual cycles, so I take it that there's an effect there. Cervical cancer affecting infertility, pregnancy complications. And then with the men, when it comes to their nicotine cravings, it's the hand-to-mouth habit, isn't it? It is. Where they constantly, so if they're not holding a cigarette, then they need something to eat or anything like that. So, and women obviously are different. Women are, I mean, we talk about women's... what's it called? Feminism. We talk about equality. When we talk about equality, we're not talking about our body shape being the same, or we can lift, the same as what men can lift. No, that's not what we're talking about. We are fully aware of our differences. So here, women would be different. But you've also got facts here. So facts of quitting cigarettes. So the risk of heart disease and stroke decreases up to 50%. Do you want to give a bit more information about that? And then we'll go on to a couple of messages we've got on Facebook.
Yep. So obviously e-cigarettes is now the most popular stop smoking aid in England, with about 3 million vapers across the country, 1 million of whom currently smoke and 1.5 million who have completely stopped. The risk of heart disease and stroke can reduce by 50% in the first year after quitting. By quitting before turning 40, as mentioned before, a smoker can reduce the chance of dying earlier from smoke-related diseases by 90%. Quitting between the age of 45 and 54 reduces premature smoke-related deaths by about 66%. And that's huge. For those that says that they've smoked all their lives and they don't want to get on the journey, facts are there, the studies are there that you can reduce premature smoke related.
It comes down to support system, strength, stamina, how much they want it as well.
Like even if they're on 20 a day and we can get them down to 5 a day, the rest is willpower. But once they see that reduction, automatically throughout time, probably 12 to 24 months, they can reduce that other 5 as well over a good period of time.
So let's just say if I was a bit of a skeptical, let's say if I was skeptic, where would I find these stats?
They're online. They're on the NHS website. They're on the Gov website, and there's also the ONS and statistical websites as well.
Okay, ONS being?
Can't remember.
It's okay, that's fine. ONS, we can always Google that in a little bit. Actually, my husband is sitting behind the glass. So, husband dear, Samir, could you quickly just check what ONS means? There we go. Office for National Statistics. Thank you very much to my producer, Akil. My husband did not help there at all. So before we move on to the next bit, we have a couple of messages on our Facebook chat. So, Akil, are you able to just go up a little bit? There was a message before the second message. So somebody called Muhammad Mo has written N10STX, which I presume means nanosticks. I'm not sure what that actually means. The next one, we've got Musa Bahadur, who's written and performance. So I'm not really sure what you mean by that. So if you could please let me know what that means. We've got Naeem Ali, who's asking what is the website. So, Haroon, can you tell us what the website is for your nanosticks?
Nano-sticks.co.uk. And it's on a next day delivery service as well.
Brilliant. And we've got Mo Mangera and Sharmeen Suleiman, Jazakallah so much, who have actually told me that it is Office of National Statistics. Thank you very much there. I've gone all red. Luckily, the blush on my makeup can cover that up today. Okay, so this is where the nanosticks comes into play. Right. Explain to us what nanosticks is.
So basically, when somebody comes to us at the store to quit smoking, we speak to them, we find out what level of smoking that they're currently at. So say if they're only on, say, 1 to 5 cigarettes a day, or 5 to 10 cigarettes a day, 10 to 15 and 20 plus, which determines how much nicotine that they require for their body. And there's a number of devices out there as well. There's refillable pod systems. There's big sub-ohming devices which produces the big vapes and clouds that you see a lot of van drivers, for example, blowing out their car windows. But it's all down to nicotine strength. And those that are new to, don't smoke as much, we recommend the refillable pod devices. Those are on about 5 to 10 cigarettes a day, possibly 10 to 12 as well. We'll hit them with the nic salt. So nic salt is a lot more potent into the bloodstream. It absorbs into the bloodstream a lot better and satisfies cravings as well. You've also got the disposable devices, which we don't currently stock in store. That's more what you see on the streets, the Elux bars, the Geek bars, the Elf bars, etc. Those devices obviously are available widely at any newsagents. But the thing is with those, that there is a trend where the amount of puffs is key to those disposables. So anything 1,000 or below is regulated in England. Anything above 1,000 puffs, like those Elux bars, Tornadoes that are currently in the market, 3,500 puffs, 7,000 puffs, there's now 10,000 puffs. Those are not regulated in the
Elf
UK.
bars and
Elf bars and Geek bars are. They have been lab tested. The liquids, the ingredients contained in those devices are lab tested, but anything above 1,000 puffs that you don't see the stop smoking warning labels on the packaging, I would strongly avoid those, because those are from China. The liquid is from China. and they've not been tested in the labs. They could contain ingredients like diacetyl, which is frowned upon in the UK.
So what I'm taking away from that is do your research. Make sure what you buy, what you purchase for yourself is suitable for you and your body levels that you need to eventually assist you.
Yeah, and then moving on from those disposables, we then have the Nanostix, which is the strongest form of concentrated liquid that delivers nicotine to your bloodstream at the same rate as the cigarette does. So a lot of vapors out there, even currently in the market, they have an e-cig with them. Even current vapors, they currently have e-cigs out there, but they're still having cigarettes on the side. And what's happening is that they're not getting satisfied with the vaping device that they're using. So what we say is up the nicotine strength. Even those that are on refillable pod devices, they have 20 mg nicotine, but actually from the manufacturers, they don't have 20 mg nicotine in. Commercially, they're allowed to go down as 14 milligrams. And what that drives is less nicotine into your bloodstream. And with Nanostix, it's pure 20 mg. We call it a hybrid salt. So it's two forms, liquid and salt nicotine, combined together to deliver the best nicotine to your bloodstream.
So one of the things that you just said was that you've seen smokers who'll have their traditional cigarettes, but then at the same time, they're also vaping. Yeah. It defeats the purpose vaping does, because you've still got the cigarette. So with the Nanostick, now I've got a Nanostick, haven't I?
Yes.
And I've got is it the refillable pods one that I've...
No, the disposable
cartridges. The disposable cartridge. See, even I myself, not sure what I've got, but I'm not a chain smoker when it comes to cigarettes and that, but I do need to smoke my shisha day in, day out. And actually, yesterday, after Tarawih, was probably the first day in a long time that I didn't smoke shisha, and I was absolutely fine with it. And I think that's where my Nanostick is actually helping me quite a bit there. So you've talked about the different devices and that. Now, out of curiosity, you got your nicotine in your Nanosticks,
yep,
and then you got your nicotine in your cigarettes,
yep,
right? The nicotine element in terms of the cigarettes and that, why is it that the Nanosticks is going to be better?
So obviously you've got 4,000 chemicals coming out from a normal cigarette as you're being inhaled. In Nanosticks, you've probably only got about 20 chemicals that come out of the vapor. And what was I going to say? As along with other devices out there, I'd say the disposables, especially those that are above 1,000 puffs, I've had trading standards send us letters for seizure of certain brands, throat infections, sticky phlegm, coughs, and heart palpitations. If you get any of those, please go and see your GP as soon as you can, because you may be allergic to some of the ingredients that are contained in there. But like I said, any regulated product that's been tested by our labs in England are fine for every single individual in the UK. So
it's thoroughly tested.
Thoroughly tested.
Right, perfect. Now, before we go on to the next section of this topic, just a reminder to those who have just tuned in, you are through to Ramadan Radio 87.7 FM. We are an interactive show. It's Breaking Stereotypes with your host, Zainab Zaeem-Sattar. We have my guest, Haroon Mulla, who is the owner of Vapemotion and distributor for Nanostix. We are talking about into the world of smoking today. And we've had a message come through, just a little bit confusing, so I'm just going to read it out exactly as it says. It says, Salams to Muhammad, Noor, Adam, Konat and family. Now, I take it because you are Haroon Mulla, that this is not a salam to you nor me, but it's probably a shout out to a family called Muhammad, Noor, Adam, Konat and family. So you've had somebody giving you a shout out. I can't say the number due to data protection and GDPR, so I won't be able to say the number out, but you've had a shout out there. So if anybody does have any questions, now is your chance to ask Haroon. Now, Haroon, you and I actually met up because of, we've had a couple of questions. So before we go on to that, so Musa Bahadur again has said, where can I buy Nanosticks? So do you want to just quickly touch upon that bit again? Where can he... Haroon, talk about the Nanosticks bit.
So
where can you purchase it? Your website?
So you've got the website, and you've also got some local stores in Leicester as well. So you've got Kadiri's in Highfields, you've got Kismatban on St Stephen's Road. You've got a couple of guys who deliver as well, and you've got Islamabad and Nasipan also.
Okay. And I have seen a couple of your pod stations in a few places as well. So I know Tubos. I buy my flavors from Tubos when I see them there. Shameen Suleiman has given us a really nice statistics there. Research has shown that if you quit for 28 days, you're 5 times more likely to quit for good. And her source is the British Lung Foundation. Jazakallah so much for that, Shameen Suleiman. Muhammad Mo would like to know, how long does the Nanosticks battery last?
So they last about 2 days. On a 30-minute charge.
But that does depend upon how much you smoke it.
Obviously.
And the reason why I say that is because it's been about, 4 or 5 weeks since I grabbed myself a free one when you were distributing them. I still haven't charged mine. And I smoke it a couple of puffs every day, but like I said, I'm not a chain smoker. For me, it's the shisha. So mine's still lasting. So the batteries do last a while. That much I have noticed. And then we've got Naeem Ali asking, can he still get a free one? So do you want to mention a little bit more about that?
Yes, so we'll be doing it on Saturday again. At Vapemotion store on Saturday between 5 and midnight. For anyone who mentions the radio, that they've heard of the giveaway from the radio, we'll obviously speak to them, advise them on how to go forward.
Okay, now we are going to talk a little bit more about Saturday and what's happening, that just a little bit more towards the end. But you heard it here. Haroon said that you can get a free one from his shop on Saturday, but you do have to mention the radio. Someone's asking, Muhammad Mo's asking again, Muhammad Mo, you're really on it today, aren't you? Thank you very much for that. Are you on Deliveroo?
Not yet. We've teamed up with another company, which is Delivery Drop. We'll be working with them very closely. Okay.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned Delivery Drop again, and I'm grateful to Muhammad Mo asking about Deliveroo, because you did mention earlier on that for the females out there who are shy and walking into the shops and things like that, they can just go onto the website, order it, and it will be delivered. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
So there you go. So if anyone wants anonymity, or if you're just plain busy and you can't get into the shop, you can order it on the website, and it will be delivered. Shabaz Arif is asking, can I get any in 50 milligrams? So we talked about 20 milligrams, Haroon. He's asking, is there any in 50 mg?
There isn't. 20 mg is the legal limit for nicotine strength in the UK.
So there you go. So there's a reason why it's 20 mg. It's the legal limit in the UK. So that there is a reason as to why it's 20. And I take it that the reason for it being that legal, for it to be legal at 20, is because of the nicotine strength.
Yeah, it's the cigarettes that are produced in Europe. They're a lot lighter than the ones in the Middle East. So say, for example, if you've got a pack of cigarettes from the Middle East and from England, the nicotine contained within those cigarettes are a lot less. So we don't need to put more nicotine into our users to satisfy their cravings, in effect.
Yeah, because it's already enough in there. And the whole purpose of Nanosticks is to stop quitting. And this is what I wanted to touch upon. The reason why me and Haroon even, we bumped into each other. What do you even say bumped into each other? I approached you, was how it was. So one evening, me and my family, we were in Tubos. And in Tubos, we were all getting free packs of Nanosticks. And of course, for some people, it was like, oh, there was a free goodie bag, they're getting something free. And I decided to ask who the distributor was, who the owner was, and it turned out to be Haroon. Now, when Haroon and I got talking, one of the first things I picked upon was the fact that in this day and age, there's no one, or there's very less people who are giving away anything for free. There's always a catch somewhere. But your Stop Smoking campaign, there was no catch. It was, here you go, here's a goodie bag. And the best bit, it was unlimited. There wasn't any number. It wasn't one bag per person, or you weren't distributing 50 to the first people that arrived or anything like that. And I reckon, in this day and age, that's fantastic. I do have a question, but before I go on to the question, we've had Yusuf K. Oh, it's disappeared on me, Akil. Yusuf K has said, I cut down on my smoking a lot, which has improved significantly thanks to Nanosticks and the flavors. And I'm going to have to read this out. He went, So to those who are a bit dubious as to whether nanosticks can work or not, here you go. You've got a user, Asif Yassin, who's saying he cut down on smoking. His health has improved quite a lot thanks to nanosticks, and the flavors are, I presume what he means, are really, really nice. There you go. And we've got Naeem Bana saying walaikum assalam, and we've got people, Naeem Bana saying hello Haroon. So Haroon, that message is for you. So my next question, and I believe we don't have that long either for the show now. So to those listening, if you need to get your questions in, please do get your questions in. We have about 9 minutes on the clock. So one of the questions I wanted to ask now, I bumped into you in Tubos. And one of the things I actually said to one of the Tubo owners was, you know, it was fantastic how he embraced you. And that was Imran Nafsa, how he embraced you. He allowed you to come into his shop and distribute these. Now, I understand that you've actually worked with quite a few shisha cafes.
Yep.
How has their approach been to you coming in and giving their customers an alternative?
They've been quite open with it. I'd say the likes of Jumeirah, Tubo, we also did it in other cities as well. It's for them, it's a place for their users to get something free as well. With a product so renowned in Highfields and Errington, they were very quite open because it would drive traffic to their store, to their cafes as well. And also when I told them about the benefits of quit smoking, etc., and trying to get out to the community, and the only way I personally can get out to the community is by these bars and cafes and engaging with them on a night out.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I can only comment on the night that I was there when you distributing, and the response from the customers inside the store was phenomenal. Everybody wanted a piece of the action, as they say, isn't it? Everyone wanted to know what Nanosticks was. And I have to admit, I am quite appreciative that you did that, because up until then, I'd only ever heard of Alf bars and a few others. I'd never even heard of Nanosticks. So again, it comes down to raising awareness. And the fact that, you know, you're getting out there, you're getting the name out there as well. But, you know, it's the flavors itself, whilst right now there might be a few, you know, how many flavors have Nanosticks got?
Currently we've got 19.
You've got 19, so that's quite a large amount. It's not a small amount there. So there's a variety. I know there's a few that I actually like, but I won't go into that. So let's talk a little bit about the community work that's upcoming. So we already know that you're doing shisha cafes and that, and doing your giveaways there, and raising, working on your quit smoking campaign. Do you want to just touch upon the few other local events that you've got planned?
So yeah, we've got a couple of stop smoking community societies, stop smoking service groups up and around the country that we've partnered up with, and we'll be going into their regular meetings that they have with their people that want to quit smoking. So you know how they have like their circle time, and they talk about their experiences and talk about what they've tried. We'll be going into those meetings as well, and obviously showcasing what we can do for them. Okay,
so out of curiosity then, I mean, we are Ramadan Radio, we are, you know, an Islamic channel here. In terms of the work that you've done, how has that clashed with your faith at all? Do you feel like you've had people tell you anything about, you know, Islam says this or Islam says that? Have you had that kind of mentality?
To be honest, I've not, because nowadays in our society it's something of the norm. But obviously we know what the rules and regulations are as Islam. But obviously it's doing something wrong, but trying to make it a lot more healthier, and then eventually coming off it. And that's the path we try and make everyone go on.
Yeah, and it's like you said, you used a very crucial word there, which was it's the norm. Smoking has become the norm. It's become a trend.
1 in 5.
1 in 5, as you said earlier, and that's quite phenomenal statistics there. So, but we are still at that stereotype, isn't it, that it's normal for men to smoke. not so normal for the females. And it's changing that mentality. It's education, it's awareness, it's going from being narrow-minded to slightly more open-minded. But the support system is absolutely crucial, especially for females, because I do feel that men have support systems out there. They've got their friends, they've got family members, probably their partners or parents, but women don't often have that. You know, they won't have that support system. So in terms of, let's say if a woman did want to reach out, it doesn't have to be a Muslim woman, it could be a non-Muslim woman. If she wanted to reach out and speak with you anonymously a little bit more, is there a way that she could do that?
Yeah, they could drop us an email. So it's info at nanosticks.co.uk. We've also got Facebook as well. We've got a Facebook page, Nanosticks UK, and Instagram also, where they can DM us, and we can have a live conversation about it.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So to all the listeners out there, whether you know, male or female, we do have Haroon Mulla, who does community work, will help you, try and help you, you know, quit smoking. He's got his Nanosticks product that can help. I'm sure Vapemotion stocks other products as well that can help. Now, in terms of you have well, it's not a fundraiser, but you do have something happening on Saturday. So can you just tell us a little bit more, because there's something happening for the women and then you've got something for the men. So
our store normally opens 6 to 10, 7 days a week. On Saturday, I was thinking of doing. I'll probably open it from 4 p.m. From 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. I'll open it up to the ladies for ladies only session where no men will be around probably. And then from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. to midnight with a half an hour break for iftar, will be open to the public. Any proceeds on that day, all profits will go to charity. And as Naeem asked earlier, there'll be free giveaways as well to new people coming onto Nanosticks.
Okay.
So they can get our Stop Smoking kit for free.
Okay, so just a repeat of that. It's from 4 o'clock to 6 p.m., which is ladies only. So you'll have... sorry?
At Vapemotion.
At Vapemotion on Divano Road, in order to... So there's two things. So to those women who want to take the first step and they want to learn how to quit smoking, and then either quit smoking on the stop or at the time or work towards it, 4 till 6 p.m, ladies only, this Saturday at Vapemotion on Divano Road. And for the men, it's from 6 p.m. to midnight. It'll be open to the public with a half an hour break for iftar. And the money that they spend will 100% of the profit will go to charity, and there'll also be a giveaway there. Now, we've got about 2 minutes and 25 seconds on the clock. Now, I'm looking at some of the Facebook comments and I'm a bit flabbergasted at the moment. So I'm not going to say some of them. If anyone wants to read them, they can go on the Facebook page and read them themselves. But do we have, a last couple of moments, do we have any tips for any of our listeners and viewers in relation to the Nanosticks itself, or the smoking, or the stats? Do you have any tips for our listeners and viewers?
Yeah, I would initially just say get on vaping. No matter what type of product you use, try and quit smoking. Obviously, the health facts and figures are there. I'm not going to bore you with them. It's get on the journey. Once you're on the journey, you can phase yourself off. Probably it might take you a year, it might take you 6 months. I've known people who smoke 30 a day go to zero within 48 hours. It's down to each individual and how much they want to quit smoking.
It's the strength and stamina inside them.
But to replace one of those where you're just driving from A to B, or having a social one with your friends, replacing it with an e-cigarette is a lot better. And those ones where after a heavy meal or first thing in the morning or last thing at night, keep those cigarettes in your life up until you're ready to phase them out of your life, because those are the hardest ones to get rid of.
It's going cold turkey. Not everybody can do cold turkey. Just very quickly, we've got about 50 seconds on the clock. Have you had anyone come up to you and say that by using Nanosticks, they feel it hasn't worked?
I've had probably over the past 3 years, probably about 4. And those were people that were allergic to some of the ingredients that were in there.
So that's
why I referred them to their GP straight away. So if you've got any heart palpitations, any throat infections, any coughs or sticky phlegm, honestly go straight to the GPs and get it checked out.
So there you go, 4 people in the time that he's been distributing, and that's due to allergies. So visiting your GP when you feel any of those symptoms is quite crucial. But other than that, Nanosticks seems to do the job. So we will close off now. This was Ramadan Radio 87.7 FM, Breaking Stereotypes with me, Zainab Zaeem.